Lunch break is complete, so we're now heading back to racing action here at Oulton Park, and we've had our first two proper sessions for Time Attack. Now it's back to Racing Hondas, and we're getting some racing underway very, very shortly. You can see the cars, if you're watching around the start and finish area, and also watching on the stream, they are making their way onto the grid in formation, and we'll be then going through the grid very, very shortly in order to do so. So, those watching around the circuit and on the stream, afternoon everybody, Scott Woodward is here to guide you through all of the action. It's myself here on commentary, and you'll hear later on from Charlie Harmon, who's down in Parc Ferme at the end of the race to chat to our class winners later on. Now, we'll go through the grid very shortly once we've done that, but before we lead in, you'll see on one grid, as we've seen so far on track in practice and qualifying, that one of these cars is not like the others because we have the brand new S2000R, part of the S2000 Cup that's coming in for 2026, and it's making its competition debut today if it's on the grid, and it's in the hands of Tegiwa's very own Luke Sejakowski, so we'll be able to go and work for that. And to find out a bit more about that, Charlie went down to the Tegiwa garage at the top of the pit lane to find out more from Luke himself to see what this new car is all about and how he's finding driving it for the first time here at Oulton Park.
I'm down here with Luke. We are down in the pits with the new S2000R build behind us. Just come out of qualifying. How was it? How's the car?
Oh yeah, it's brilliant. Obviously I didn't get the result I wanted. The car's still a little bit down on the power to weight, so we've got to develop that. But as far as the way the car drives, yeah, it's great. It's a really enjoyable car, really predictable. You can go through the corners as fast as you want and know that you're going to come out the other side. So yeah, it's all really good. It's balanced on the tyres, so during the session it doesn't overheat the rear or the front or anything. It just lasts well. Yeah,
obviously this is a fresh build. This is sort of its first time out racing with everyone else. Talk us through the build. What have we done?
Yeah, okay, so the whole idea of the championship, or the class, is that it's going to be a controlled build. So there's about 10 grand's worth of parts total, plus your car, plus some time to build it. And then you've got an S2000R built to the spec. So with all the cars being built exactly the same dampers, same wheels, same tyres, exhaust, the job lot, it will then just be down to the drivers making the most of what they've got. So yeah, like I say, about 16, 17 grand gets you the car and all the bits, and then you can build it and get racing.
Yeah, absolutely. Am I right? It says about the first 3 builds do you get free entry as well?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, because it's a new thing, we thought we'd do that. So yeah, we're going to put a build package together on the website, and the first 3 people to click buy, like you say, get the free entry for next season.
Amazing, fantastic. Wow, are we heading out into race 1 as well?
Yeah, looking forward to it. It's going to be interesting, obviously being rear-wheel drive. Hopefully I'll get off the start quicker than everyone else, and then it'll be elbows out.
Yeah, absolutely amazing. Wow, good luck for it. Thank you so much. Thank you.
There we are, more information on the S2000. Want to find more info, you can head to the website racinghondas.uk for that progress. Cars already out on their formation laps, so we're getting away for 50 minutes of action, and here's how they line up. With a late lap in qualifying, a brand new lap record for Liam Collins in the DC2 Integra. He starts on pole position alongside Will Self. That will be a real battle down towards turn 1. Bob Barron with a new rear wing will start 3rd on the 2nd row of the grid alongside Tommy Knight with new rear springs. He's working to work with that from 4th. Kevin Talbot starts 5th alongside James Kiff and his aero improved Integra DC2, then 2023 champion Phil Wright and Dave Buki will start on the 4th row of the grid before we round off the top 10, followed by Fraser McNeil, who's had that car reshelled, and James Alford and his Civic EK starting in the top 10. Then it's Unstoppable Dan Thackeray, who leads the championship overall and in Class B, will start 11th, alongside his main championship rival both overall and in class, Ryan Cunningham. Then Sam Linster, who was close to a win at Snetterton, will start 3rd in class alongside Spencer Fortag, who went off the road in qualifying. Sammy Milam and Lewis Barker will come up next in P6. Lewis Barker's got pulled off at the end of qualifying. Hopefully that car's fixed. Then we have the car we've all been talking about, the S2000R with Luke Sejakowski at the wheel. He's just on the track going through the shot now in 17th. He's alongside Bradley Yates, who's here getting signatures before he moves to Ferrari Challenge in a few weeks' time. And then Class C pole position, Matt Rowling goes to him alongside Trevor McConnell in Class B. Callum Houchin, his Class C rival, starts 21st. And right at the back of the field, not setting a proper time, will be Owen Diver, who is there, I can see going through the shot, to make it 22 Racing Hondas, set for 15 minutes of action here at Oulton Park. So we had points in qualifying, considering that we had the top 5 score points in qualifying in each class, which means that a slight change to what we had the points coming into the weekend. So before that happened, we had Will Self and Phil Wright separated by a point, with Will taking 2 victories last time out at Snetterton, so he's now in pole position to try and make it a 4th win of the season. Phil Wright is a point behind in 2nd place, 2023 champion. Kevin Talbot 3rd on 90 points, ahead of Liam Collins and Tommy Knight in the top 5. In Class B and also the overall leaders, it is Dan Thackeray on 131 points, 7 wins out of 8, with Ryan Cunningham just ahead of him by about 18 points. And then Sam Linster in 3rd, Lewis Barker 4th, and Sammy Milam completing the top 5. And in Class C, it's a battle between Matt Rowley and Callum Houchin, and there is an advantage of 16 points, 62 to 46 in that battle. So the cars lining up one by one on the field. You're watching on the stream. It's the black DC2 Integra to the left of the shot, which is Liam Collins on pole. The red EG Civic with Will Self alongside on the front row of the grid. Then it's Bob Barron and Tommy Knight on the front row as well. But you're going to have to watch for the likes of the DC5 Integra and of the Kevin Talbot as well in the mix as well. Should be good. Right, green flag at the back. You know the drill. It's all calm and quiet until the VTEC kicks in. It's Oulton Park. It's round 9. It's Tunafest North here for Racing Hondas. Who gets the sprint down towards turn 1? Red lights are up for race 1 at Oulton Park. And we are go for 15 minutes of Racing Hondas action. Strong start from the front row of the grid. It's initial getaway. It's level down towards turn 1, and Wilson might get the run down the outside towards Old Hall for the first time. It's Tommy Knight into third place ahead of Bob Barron as they sweep through the right-hander for the first time. Through the right-hander, Old Hall corner we go. I think there's one car that got a little slow off the line, but he's managed to get going. One car from the pits. That is Jackson. That's our newcomer, Jackson Yates, to come down the avenue for the first time. And Kevin Talbot a little bit out of shape, going round the outside in towards Cascades for the first time. Out on the curve, he's made contact, they're off. Both cars off, there goes Talbot spinning off onto the infield, bucking his way through all the way down the grass and down to last position. Like a bucking bronco, he had to hold on to that one, but he spins it a complete 360 back onto the road. He's down to last and 22nd position. So the man who was in the lead of the championship going into Snetterton last time out, DNF'd in race 1, makes side-to-side contact with Bob Barron, and he's down to the back of the field. Astonishing stuff. He's going to have to try and make it through here. Leaders through the chicane at Britain's for the first time. Self leads. Then it's Collins second. Knight in third. James Kiffey's up to 4th place in the Integra. 5th is 4 right. And there's Bob Barron. That's got damage to his left rear suspension by the look of it. Looks like he's out of the race. That's not going to be any points for him in this one. Lock up on the rear from Will Self as they're turning towards Hislops for the first time. So it's the EG Civic who leads, the DC2 Integra in second, the EK Civic of Tommy Knight in third. He got his first podium of the season, did Tommy. He's had 2 podiums last time out. Not at Snetterton, he had 2 podiums so far this season. 3, in fact. He got 1 at Cadwell Park and 2, 1 at Donington, 1 at Brands Hatch as they come under the canopy of the trees and through the right-hander at Druids for the first time. Kiff holding station in 4th in that white Integra. Then it's Wright, followed by McNeil, then Alford, then the Class B leaders. Dan Thackeray from Ryan Cunningham. Linster's up to 3rd place in class. So he's holding on to position well, and on his tail also a Spencer Fortag in that FN2 Civic. So an all-action lap 1 to come out of Lodge Corner over the Elite for the first time, and it will be Will Self who leads the way as we come across to see what the gap is. So from the front row of the grid, Will Self leads by 1 second from Collins in 2nd place. Knight goes to 3rd. It's Kiff in 4th, Wright in 5th position in the top 5 in class. And it's McNeil and Alford. Dan Thackeray leads Class B and is into 8th. He's alongside Ryan Cunningham and Sam Linster in the top 10. And then Spencer Fortag is in 4th. Trevor McCollum's up to 5th. And the S2000 has survived lap 1 unscathed. And he takes 6th position. It was side-by-side into turn 1 between, looked like it was the 2 Class C runners. That was between Houchin and Rowling. And it was Rowling up the inside. And Houchin was just in front by about 14 thousandths of a second. So it was incredibly close between them. And Matt Rowling was saying that he thought Callum Houchin would have the advantage here. There's double-waved yellows down Lakeside on the approach towards Island Bend. I think it must be for Kevin Talbot's car that must have enough damage. Now then, there's also been given a 10-second time penalty for Liam Collins. That must be either for a jump start or an out-of-position start on the grid. It's not fully in his box, but he was over it or alongside it and over the white line. 10-second penalty usually means he's been given an out-of-position or a false start. So Liam Collins is in 2nd place on the road, but that's elemental. He's going to be right down the order. So really, it's Tommy Knight into 2nd place. And it's James Kiff up into 3rd. He was really hoping that the new aero enhancements and the new diff he's put on this Integra was really going to help him close the gap. As we watch the 2 EP3 Civics sandwiching the S2000, and Sedzikowski gets a good run off of the Britain chicane on the run down towards the complex at Hislops. And McConnell then just defending for Sedzikowski, who is a single round entry, so he won't score points, but he's seeing how competitive this S2000 is. And he's right in the mix with McConnell and Barker on his tail in the Europa Crash Centre entered machine. Wide over the curve for Luke, incredible experience. He's the man who looks after Tegiwa, showing this car's potential. And Barker is right on his rear bumper, putting the pressure on as they come up over the crest for the 2nd time. End of lap number 2. Self still leads it. Let's see what the gap is. It's again elemental for 2nd place because Collins might be on close to him on the road. 1.4 seconds, but it'll be 11 seconds when you add the 10-second penalty at the end. So Knight's really in 2nd place, a net 2nd place. James Kiff is now in a battle of what will be net 3rd after the penalties apply between himself and Phil Wright, as they make their way through the right-hander at Old Hall Corner and now down the avenue towards Cascades for the 3rd time. On the screen you're watching, we've got the timing results on the left-hand side for you now to take a look at. Lewis Barker set the fastest lap of the race. It's side-by-side between Barker and McDonald in towards turn 1 out of my window. And on the screen we see them. McConnell holds the outside line. There's a little bit of rubbing between them. It's very close between them as they now goes wheel to wheel down the avenue side by side. McConnell doesn't want to give it up and sweeps across in the braking zone just before he turned in for Cascades. And that gives Lewis Barker a very sharp press on the middle pedal to have to hold it off a little bit. But I'll tell you what, it's been all action the first couple of laps, particularly we lost both Kevin Talbot and Bob Barron. He was so hoping that from third on the grid, it would have given him a really good result, chance to get another podium. He was on a high from getting his first podium at Snetterton. You can see Bob Barron's car parked in the island loop as Lewis Barker has a look up the inside into Shellaw's hairpin. McConnell gives him the space and repasses, but of course these two keep on fighting each other. It's easy to make a break and they make contact, and round goes Barker. There was a touch between Barker and McConnell. Round he goes, almost a 360, completely gets out of the way, and thankfully doesn't get tabbed by Rowling or by Milam or by Couchin. It's all action in these first few laps. We've still got 9 minutes and 45 seconds to go. So out through the chicane they go then, and Barker's going to do it all over again to get past both of the Class C cars. And that would have given Matt Rowling and Houchin and Sammy Milam a fright. Back to our battle for net third position. It is fourth on the road, remember. But this James Kiff is going to hope he can get himself his first podium and make sure all that aero work. They were testing it at Castle Combe recently, and it did certainly work as Barker gets his elbows out to try and get past Houchin. Looks round the outside, but Houchin stands his ground at Knickerbrook and basically parks the car right on the apex of the corner. Says, you might be in a different class than me, mate, but you're not getting past me that easy. Come round the long way. So Barker's making it a little more difficult for him here as they come out underneath the canopy of the trees, back towards Druids. Car wiggling around as looks like Rowling was trying to get the apex, and the car ran a little wide. It might have been the pressure from Milam behind him that sort of put him offline, and Milam might be drawing alongside here to make the move. He's close enough to get him under brakes. They're side by side, and I think realises he's in a different class altogether. Rowling just lets him go. Same now with Houchin. He's had his fun with Barker. He goes through. Back with the leaders. It's 1.6 seconds on the road between Self and Collins. And Tommy Knight, in reality, is 2.6 seconds off the lead, but he holds a nice, comfortable second place. He's got some nearly 7 seconds over Kiff in third place, who himself is only 8/10 ahead of Phil Wright. With the Class B runners, we should check in with them. Dan Thackeray leads that class by 1.5 seconds from Ryan Cunningham. And Sam Lintzner in third position. Spencer Fortag is in fourth. And then it is fifth position in Class B for Sejikowski. So the S2000 up in the top 5. There's a little bit of trim hanging off the back of Lewis Barker's car. That must have been from the tag that he got from Trevor McDonald, Lexington Shellaw's hairpin. Through the chicane they go at Hislop's, watching a battle for what is going to become third place after the penalty is applied at the end. Phil Wright is pushing as hard as he dares. He is the 2023 champion. But James Kiff is giving as good as he gets. And he only started really car racing at the first round. He dropped the car into the series, which was at Brands Hatch. He picked up on that first weekend a 7th and a 5th, then a 6th and a DNF last time at Snetterton. So here's Lewis Barker watching on the screen, coming out of Britain's. Now he's on the tail of the Class C leader, which is Matt Rowling. And with better acceleration and power, through he goes. Now his next guy he's going to try and pick up is Sammy Milam. As outside of my commentary box position, you can see we've got the top 3, and in fact actually physically Tommy Knight has caught Liam Collins, so he's really got some pace underneath him now. We should also mention thank you to Lucas Oil for supporting the stream. Of course you can vote for your Lucas Oil top driver by using the QR code. If you're watching on the stream, scan the QR code, you can vote for them online. And here's that battle then on track for second place. Even if Knight gets through, if he doesn't get through I should say, not going to matter because the penalty is going to be applied and push Collins back anyway. But I'm certain that Knight wants the track position and he knows that Collins is going to make it difficult. Unless he hasn't seen it on a time screen or the display board that you have on the start gantry, I'm not quite sure that Liam Collins might just let him through here. The gap is less than a second as they come round another lap. 6 3/4 minutes to go. This is a battle on track between Milam, McConnell and Barker. So Milam I think has got past... Now Milam was already ahead of... Yeah, Milam has got past McConnell. And this is interesting. The two combatants that were getting a bit too close for each other earlier on now find themselves back together again. And Lewis Barker's blood is going to be a little bit up, I think. Has a look up the inside. He forces McConnell to go deep. I think McConnell realised this time, sorry, that might have been my fault, just lets him through pretty easy. Unless there's that a problem for McConnell, because now he's lost pace to Matt Rowling. I think McConnell's got a problem. Whether it's a legacy of the contact between himself and Barker, I'm not 100%, but McConnell's car doesn't appear to be 100% at this point, because he's just let Matt Rowling through, and that's a Class C Civic. And black and white flag also going out as a warning for track limits for Phil Wright. It's not a penalty, but he's on the cusp now of getting a penalty if he carries on extending track limits. And they do have pressure sensors here in this MSV circuit, so if you go over one of the pressure pads, you get a nice photo sent up to race control, and it's inexcusable proof. You can't say, honest gov, it wasn't me. doesn't work like that. You say, well, we've got photographic proof that you did, so it's not going to work that way. 1.9 seconds is the on-track gap between Will Self and Liam Collins, and if Will Self continues on as he is with 5.5 minutes to go, he will be on course to pick up his 4th win of the season. In fact, apart from 11th place in the first race at Brands Hatch and DNF at Cadwell Park, that's the only race he hasn't finished. But apart from that first race at Brands Hatch, every other race that he's competed in outside of that has been either a win or a 2nd place. And again, it's fulfilling that prophecy that he made at the start of the season. He said that he was going to go forwards and win this championship, and he's going forward now in this EG Civic, like one of the older cars in the field, but still got plenty of pace and plenty of development underneath it. Liam Collins is no stranger to this championship also. He still holds the qualifying lap record, but up until the very last lap of the session, it was going the way of Will Self. So a last bingo lap from him managed to get him that pole position time and also lower that lap record to 1:49.5. Just seeing the S2000 go past my shot. That is still in 5th position in Class B with Sedzukovsky at the wheel. We'll check in with the Class Bs. You can see Dan Thackeray still. Well, that's interesting, actually. The gap is 2.5 seconds. I thought it was closer, but that's the relevant difference between the cars. So you've got 2.5 seconds in Class B between Dan Thackeray and Ryan Cunningham. And then Sam Lintzner in 3rd place. He's on course for another podium. Sam himself, as I mentioned, was very close to a win at Snetterton last time out and took his best result of the season with 2nd place, but he was in front of Dan for most of the race and right at the end made a mistake that lost him the victory. And that's why Dan now has 7 wins out of 8 rather than 6. So Sammy already has, in class, 2 podiums. 3, in fact, so I look at the wrong Sammy. That was 3rd place for Cadwell Park, a 3rd place at Donington, and now a 2nd place at Snetterton. If you look back here, that's Fraser McNeil being chased by James Alford, EG being chased by EK Civic. So they climb up over Clay Hill. Just under 4 minutes to go. There goes Dan Thackeray with the gap of 2.5 seconds. There goes Cunningham, defending champion. Won the title last year in Class C, moved up to Class B. And pre-season, Phil Wright was going to move down to Class B, but in fact, actually, he stayed in Class A because that was his preference. And so we could have seen the only 2 Racing Hondas champions we've had in the same class battling together. But Phil Wright decided he wants to stay in Class A. He wants to go for the fastest cars and maybe the overall title. So going here, is that a change for Class C? I think it might well be. No, it's not. So that's, I'm getting confused. That is Jackson Yates who is behind, who is our single round entry driver, and he drives a black Civic. That's the Ben Sharp Racing hire car going through. But Houchin is keeping with McConnell. I'm still not convinced that car's at full pace because it looked as though that Lewis Barker went past him way too easy. And also we saw Matt Rowling go past as well. So not all I think is well with Trevor McConnell's car. But there's 3 minutes to go, and that's Houchin. Houchin was sideways going through Druids. Whether that was just a loss of traction or something got over the rear tyres, but just as this is the shot cut, you saw a screech of tyres and Houchin's car at 45 degrees through Druids. So he's managed to hold on to that whether he has or not. I guess we'll never know at this point. Now, Collins is trying to keep up with him as much as possible. Now, Collins might still have a podium here because if you look at the gap between the difference, Tommy Knight's 11 seconds ahead of James Kiff, and Kiff himself has now pulled a second over Phil Wright in 5th position. So I wonder, in this sense, if we're going to get Liam Collins, he might only lose 1 place. The pace of these top 3 seems to be strong enough that he's only going to lose 1 position. He's not going to pull 10 seconds unless something, touch wood, dramatically happens to Tommy Knight in the next 2 minutes. And I'm certainly not trying to put the commentator's curse on that. But Collins certainly is going to keep on pushing to keep on building that gap. He's got quite enough of a buffer that he won't lose 3rd position, which is good for them because this pace has been pretty relentless between the top 3. James did have a desire that he wanted to close the gap to the top 3, but you have to bear in mind that Will Self hasn't changed much to the car. Tommy Knight's got some new fiberglass doors, and he's also put new rear springs on this car as well, so he was a bit unchanged and untested between the events. He hadn't really tested the car beforehand, and so he's learning on the fly with these new springs and doing quite well. A little twitch from Will Self as he uses all the curb on the exit as they head down Lakeside once again, back towards that very fast right left-hander Island bend. And almost certainly, next time by, they will start the last lap of this first 15-minute race of the day for Racing Hondas. You can see in the background there, Bob Barron's EG Civic sadly with that rear suspension problem after the collision with Kevin Talbot, exiting Cascades. Talbot's car, can I presume, is parked far on the grass after it went grass tracking like a racehorse over the over the crest. Back with our fight for what's now going to become 4th place because Liam Collins is that far ahead. It's not going to change the order of them moving up, at least as far as I can see. Gap has now gone to 12.5 seconds between Tommy Knight and James Kiff, and that in terms of on-track gap is more like 14.5 seconds really. So Collins looks safe in 3rd place. after the penalties apply. He'll also get the fastest lap of the race. He's done a 50.693. I'm checking what that means for the race lap record. I'll see if that's changed anything at all. I should keep an eye on that as well. There's Dan Thackeray, who leads the way in Class B still. Unstoppable Dan, as we've now affectionately termed him. And he's on course now for his 8th win in 9 races. And of course, the key thing to remember is that you score as many points as you do in, regardless of when you class, you score the same number of points. So Will Self will score 15 points, Dan Thackeray will score 15 points, and so too will Matt Rowling. And it's down to the overall championship here. Now the clock's going to go down to just about 5 seconds. Then we're going to get one more time around the Oulton Park International Circuit in this beautiful bank holiday Monday summer sunshine here in Cheshire. Through Old Hall Corner. Collins still in second place. He's keeping Tommy Knight at bay here. He's not allowing him to get too close together. Just keeping a nice equal distance, but it's not going to change the fact that Tommy will pick up second place as a result, and that will equal his best result of the season from right at the beginning of the year when he picked up second in the first race. So we're actually mimicking the first podium of the season. We're going to have, if it stays as it is, we're going to have Will Self winning, Tommy Knight in second place, and Liam Collins third. That was the order they finished in the very first race of the year at Camberwell Park. So a nice bit of synergy. We're starting the second half of the season, and it's going to be looks to be the exact same top 3. Class B still Dan Thackeray ahead of Cunningham. Linster will be on course for another podium. Fortag in second. And Luke Sedjakovsky, shout out to him to keep his nose clean in the S2000. That car set to take a top 5 in Class B. No points scored. It's a single round entry, which means the points instead will go to Sammy Milam, who's in 1 or 2 of the Kinetic Motorsport Civic EP3s. And Class C is set to be Matt Rowling, who's taking another victory. If you look at how many wins he's taken so far in class, this will be his 6th win of the season. The other victories, one went to Callum Houch in the second race at Brands Hatch after Matt and Andy Barnes, one of the main men behind Time Attack, collided going towards Surtees at Brands Hatch, which saw the race red flagged. And then the other 2 wins were taken at Donington Park by Andy himself, but of course no points scored because he's a single round entry on top of that also. So really instead, there was honours were split between Rowling and Houchin. But for Will Self, who continues to prove that he is trying to make this prophecy come true. With a quick look back here to see we've got a potential battle between McNeil and Alford, but we'll follow that way to the line in a moment's time because we've got the leaders coming up towards the flag for the final time. And Will Self is again trying to put himself in pole position for title in this championship. He heads over the crest, over the elite for the final time. It's his 3rd win in a row. It'll be his 4th win of the season. Cross the line goes Will Self. It is victory in race 1, round 9 of Racing Hondas 2025 at Oulton Park, and a fine drive from the front row of the grid. Liam Collins takes 2nd place, but of course the penalty's been applied, so he comes across the line adjusted, 13 seconds behind. And Tommy Knight is struggling to the line. What's happened? Tommy Knight and James Kiff will be side by side to the line. Who got it on the flag? It's going to be now Tommy Knight by just under 0.2 of a second. Tommy Knight, for some reason, struggled on the run towards the line, and James Kiff was that close to a first podium. It's still his best result of the season. It's 4th position for James Kiff. That's impressive stuff for him, holding off the 2023 champion Phil Wright. But what happened to Tommy Knight at the end? I thought he wasn't as close as I thought he would be. So, in fact, actually, Liam Collins keeps 2nd place as a result of that. So the problem that Tommy Knight had lost him enough time that he keeps 2nd place, so there is no change. It's just the gap looks a bit stronger. Looking further back, there's more battles down the order. We've got Lewis Barker and that's Sammy Milam. There's been a change there for 13th overall. Cross the line come the Class B leaders. Dan Thackeray does take the victory, and he does that by 2.3 seconds from Ryan Cunningham in 2nd place. And then Sam Linster will come through and take another podium in class. That's an impressive job for him. It will be Sam who takes his it's looking at the wrong Sam at the 4th podium of the season. That's his 3rd place and his 4th top 3 finish. Across the line comes Spencer Fortag. He'll pick up 4th place in class. And a round of applause also for the S2000. It completes its first competitive outing. Flash of the headlights from Sedjakovsky, and he picks up a top 5. That's pretty promising for the S2000. And of course, that's its first competition race completed with no problems, no dramas, kept his nose clean. That's a perfect advert for the car, I'm certain. Want to find out more? Head to the website at racinghondas.uk. There's all the information. And if you fancy one of these, you can get yourself a kit together for about £15,000 or so. For Class C, if they come towards the line, it's going to be a victory for Matt Rowling, who's come across the line already. Also seeing Jackson Yates has picked up his first race finish, means he'll get a signature for that. Callum Houchin did survive that slide at Druids. It means that he does hold on to 2nd place in class anyway. Well, talk about drama and action. Certainly gave you plenty in that race, and there's still another race to go where we flip the grid a little bit and make it even more interesting with the faster cars behind some of the slower ones. So, round 9 of Racing Hondas 2025 wraps up under the checkered flag. I think we've got the last couple of cars possibly coming through. Now everyone's crossed the lines. We're just waiting for the results to come on screen. And once we've done that, when the cars now headed to Parc Fermé, they'll head to Charlie and have a chat with our class winners in all. So, Will Self then takes victory number 4 of the season. It's his 4th and his 3rd in a row, and he does so by Liam Collins, who, despite having a 10-second penalty for an out of position or jump start, still finishes 2nd because a late issue for Tommy Knight meant he only just held on to 3rd place by about less than 0.2 of a second from a charging James Kiff. He was that close to a first podium, but if that's the form he's got, he might well possibly bounce back well in race 2. Phil Wright takes 5th position ahead of Fraser McNeil and James Alford. Then it's Unstoppable down once again in 8th position overall. He takes the Class B victory, some 2.3 seconds ahead of Ryan Cunningham in 2nd place, and Sam Linstner in 3rd, Spencer Fortag in 4th, and the new S2000R in the hands of Tegua's Luke Sedjakowski takes a top 5 finish. Lewis Barker took 6th in the last lap for Sammy Milems. He finishes ahead of him 7th in class. Matt Ralling takes another Class C victory. That will be his 6th of the season ahead of Trevor McColl in Class B. Bradley Yates, who is taking his first signature of the day ahead of his Ferrari Challenge aspirations. And Callum Hatch, who survived a big slide at Druids, holds on to 18th place, and Owen Diver rounds out the finishers. And we lost, sadly, on the first lap of the race, both Bob Barron and Kevin Talbot after they made contact exiting Cascades. But Talbot's car went soaring off into the grass infield, and he was out of the race. And with suspension damage, Bob Barron had no choice but to pull off into the Island Bend loop with issues, and that'll have to be fixed for race number 2.